Learning to think in a new language. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk about something I've learned is one of the most frustrating and most important parts of learning a new language. You can study all the grammar rules you want, memorize every single vocabulary word in a textbook, but you can still feel like something is missing. You can speak a bit, you can understand a bit, but you can't quite get the language to become a part of you. This is a feeling I know well. I've been on this journey myself for a while now, learning Korean. My ultimate goal wasn't just to speak Korean, it was to think in Korean. And my first attempt at this was, quite frankly, a complete failure. A year ago, I decided to begin by creating an internal narrative about my surroundings. I'd walk from room to room in my house or drive my car and try to create a running commentary in my head. That is a chair. The coffee cup is on the table. The cat is sleeping on the couch. But you know what happened? I didn't have enough vocabulary to do it, and it just felt so unnatural and clunky. It wasn't my natural way of thinking. It was just a laborious process of mental translation from English to Korean, and my brain got stuck constantly trying to find the words. The friction was so immense that I gave up on the project pretty quickly. And that's because, as linguists and psychologists would tell you, I was relying on something called mental translation. It's that ingrained habit of translating everything back and forth in your head, and it's a big obstacle to fluency. It forces you to consciously think about every single thing you want to say, which keeps you from truly getting into the flow of the language. But then, a year later, something clicked. I decided to try again, but with a completely different approach. I stopped focusing on the things around me, and I started focusing on the things inside of me. This journey, I discovered, isn't just about learning to speak. It's about learning to express the very core of who you are in a brand new linguistic framework. The big breakthrough was this. I realized that trying to simply label and name things around me wasn't how my brain naturally works. My thoughts aren't just a list of objects. They're about my relationships, my memories, my feelings, my values. So I started using times of quiet reflection to practice thinking in Korean. I would sit and reflect on the reasons I want to learn Korean, or my experiences from our 3-week vacation in Seoul with my daughter. I'd hold my 2 dogs, my cat, or my bird, and just think to them in Korean. I'd reflect on my friendships with my Korean friends, or my goals for learning the language. I'd reflect on my spiritual life and on what it will be like as I continue to move toward fluency. And you know what? Something amazing happened. It was so much easier. The simple vocabulary I did have became a powerful vessel for my personal meaning, and I was giving myself a chance to build a relationship with this language. This was no longer a cold academic exercise. It was personal. There's a very good reason this works. Research from the field of psychology shows us that the human brain is programmed to react to emotions. When you connect a new word or phrase to a memory, a feeling, or a person you care about, your brain remembers it more easily. It's no longer just an abstract concept. It's a powerful, emotionally charged piece of your own story. This is a foundational principle of cognitive psychology. This introspective method is a critical step in a process called subconscious language acquisition. It's the idea that your brain learns not from consciously memorizing rules, but from understanding the message and the context. It's the same way you learned your native language as a child. You heard the language in a meaningful context long before you ever had to think about grammar. Children don't consciously worry about the process. They just care about the message and communication. They begin speaking when they are ready, not when they have mastered every rule. As adults, we can and must train our brains to do the same. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a perfect process. In these times of reflection, my inner dialogue in Korean is simple, and I still find myself using a kind of Konglish, a mix of Korean and English words, when I don't have the vocabulary I need. But that's not a sign of failure. It's a natural, transitional phase that shows your brain is working to bridge the gap and integrate the new language. This hybrid thinking is a crucial, non-linear step toward the eventual emergence of an independent Korean-only inner dialogue. So how do you do this yourself? How do you move from the frustrating habit of mental translation to the powerful practice of introspection and subconscious acquisition? Here are some practical, research-backed methods that can help you. First, take that internal narrative and put it on paper. Start journaling or writing your thoughts in your target language. Don't worry about being perfect. You can start with something as simple as a grocery list or a to-do list. It's an easy way to get your brain to formulate thoughts in your new language without the pressure of speaking aloud. As your confidence grows, you can start journaling about your thoughts and experiences. Second, to fully break the mental translation habit, ditch the bilingual dictionary and start using a monolingual one. This is a game changer. Instead of translating a Korean word into an English word, you're forced to understand it using only Korean. This stimulates your brain to create new connections and associations directly within the linguistic framework of Korean, rather than constantly relying on English as a crutch. Finally, create a language-rich environment for yourself. Change the settings on your phone and computer to your target language. Label items around your home with their foreign names. Listen to music, watch shows, and find podcasts in Korean or English. The more you surround yourself with the sounds and rhythm of the language, the more natural and spontaneous your internal dialogue will become. These strategies provide your brain with the essential comprehensible input necessary for the subconscious acquisition process to take place. Now, you might be wondering, is all of this just a mental trick, or is something actually happening in my brain? Well, this is where the neuroscience comes in, and it's fascinating. The brain is not a static organ. It's dynamic and adaptable. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, and it's the brain's ability to change and reorganize itself. Learning a new language is one of the most powerful things you can do to physically reshape your brain, altering its structure and function throughout your life. The effort and practice involved in developing an internal monologue in a new language actively rewires your brain's architecture, providing tangible evidence of the profound impact of this journey. So, what exactly is changing? Neuroimaging studies have provided compelling evidence of the specific structural and functional changes that occur in the brain of a bilingual individual. These changes offer a scientific explanation for the cognitive advantages experienced by those who master multiple languages: increased gray matter density. Research indicates that bilingual individuals exhibit enhanced gray matter density in brain regions associated with executive functions, such as the prefrontal cortex and anterior cingulate cortex. These areas are crucial for tasks that require attention, inhibition, and working memory. The constant need to manage and switch between two linguistic systems and to suppress one while using the other acts as a continuous cognitive workout, strengthening these neural networks and leading to greater cognitive flexibility and control. This is why bilinguals often have better multitasking abilities and faster information processing. Enhanced white matter integrity. The process of learning and using two languages also results in increased neural connectivity and white matter integrity. White matter, composed of myelinated nerve fibers, is the brain's information superhighway, facilitating communication between different regions. The enhanced integrity observed in bilingual brains suggests a more efficient and rapid processing of information. This is particularly notable in the corpus callosum, the large bundle of fibers that connects the brain's two hemispheres. Interhemispheric adaptation. An intriguing finding from recent research is a temporary reduction in connectivity between the brain's two hemispheres via the corpus callosum during second language acquisition. This is not a loss of function, but a neuroplastic adaptation. It suggests that the language-dominant left hemisphere decreases its control over the right hemisphere. This release frees up resources in the right side of the brain to fully integrate and process the new language, a vital step in moving beyond the analytic, linear thinking of the left hemisphere to a more holistic, fluid understanding. These neurological transformations underscore a powerful message. The journey to thinking in Korean is not just a quest for fluency, but a fundamental redesign of the brain itself. The internal introspective practice provides the raw material for these neuroplastic adaptations, laying the foundation for a more agile and interconnected cognitive architecture. Beyond fluency, these physical changes in the brain lead to a number of broader cognitive benefits. By exposing the brain to new ways of thinking and expressing itself, language learning enhances mental flexibility and agility in problem solving. The new linguistic perspectives can stimulate creativity and lead to more rational and less impulsive decision making. The mental exercise also contributes to increased cognitive reserve, which is the brain's ability to compensate for damage caused by aging or neurodegenerative diseases. Now, for those of you who want to accelerate this entire process, I highly recommend a technique called language shadowing. It's a psycholinguistic exercise where you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they're saying in real time, like a shadow. This technique, which was first developed as a training method for interpreters, is now widely recognized as a highly effective tool for developing fluency, listening comprehension, and pronunciation. The practice requires intense focus, engaging both the auditory and motor systems of the brain simultaneously. By repeating native speech with as little delay as possible, you actively mimic the rhythm, intonation, and cadence of the speaker, a process that builds a direct link between what is heard and what is produced. Now, the paradox of shadowing is that it's often too fast for you to consciously think about what you're saying. And that's the whole point. Research shows that shadowing acts as a fantastic warm-up exercise for thinking in the target language. How? The true power of shadowing lies in its ability to prime the brain for spontaneous internal monologue. This is because it creates a direct link between the auditory perception and speech production systems in the brain. These two processes don't occur separately, they partially overlap. The brain's motor systems are primed to respond optimally, which reduces the reaction time and delay. This constant rapid-fire practice builds a mental model of the language that is no longer dependent on slow, word-by-word translation. The result is the formation of a kinesthetic auditory neural highway. The brain learns to access vocabulary and grammar with a form of muscle memory, allowing common phrases and expressions to roll off the tongue automatically, even in thought. The internal monologue, which previously required significant conscious effort, becomes more fluid and spontaneous because the neural pathways have been paved by the repetitive, real-time practice of shadowing. The benefits of shadowing are supported by a growing body of scientific research, improved working memory. Shadowing has been shown to strengthen the brain's phonological loop, a component of working memory that helps individuals process and remember speech. Studies have demonstrated that shadowing leads to increases in digit span scores and a significant decrease in reaction time on memory tasks, indicating an improvement in working memory capacity. Neural plasticity. The technique induces structural changes in the brain, particularly in the left cerebellum. The cerebellum is a key region of the brain involved in the phonological loop, and the changes observed after shadowing training are a clear sign of training-induced neural plasticity in these critical neurocognitive mechanisms. Fluency and pronunciation. Comparative analyses consistently show that shadowing is more effective than traditional methods like dictation and repetition drills in improving listening comprehension, pronunciation, and overall fluency. The technique forces learners to get accustomed to the speed and rhythm of native speakers, which significantly enhances their ability to both comprehend and produce rapid speech. The journey to thinking in Korean has been about more than just communication. My relationship with English has been inseparable from my sense of self since childhood. After all, English has been my way of expressing myself since I was a baby, learning my first words. But learning to express the meaning within me without using English has been a journey of profound self-discovery. This experience reveals a powerful truth about the relationship between language and identity. Language is more than a communication tool. It is the very framework through which a person categorizes, interprets, and expresses their experiences. The intuitive discovery that thinking in Korean requires building a new way to express the meaning within me without using English is an act of profound self-reconstruction. This process is not about replacing your original identity, but about creating a new, multifaceted one that can coexist and interact with the original. This leads me to the most profound part of my own journey, the dreams. Recently, I've had a number of dreams where I or someone else is speaking in Korean, and on several occasions I've woken up spontaneously thinking in Korean rather than English. It's a completely surreal experience, and it's the ultimate proof that the language is no longer a conscious effort. It's an integral part of my subconscious mind. This phenomenon marks a transition from learning to true acquisition. And this isn't just a random occurrence, it's a widely studied phenomenon. Psychologists and neuroscientists agree that when you start dreaming in a new language, it is a profound sign of success. One theory, from psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, is that dreaming in a foreign language signifies a deep desire to improve one's knowledge of that language. It is a positive and encouraging sign that validates the learner's journey and signals that they should continue their studies. Another theory suggests it's the ultimate biomarker of subconscious integration. When you dream, your brain is busy reviewing and consolidating the memories and concepts you've learned during the day. The fact that your dreams are taking place in your target language means your brain is actively processing the language in a natural, unconscious way. The experience of having dreams where you feel more fluent than in waking life is also explained by science. One theory attributes this to the loss of inhibitions and insecurities that are present during waking life. The brain's prefrontal area, which is responsible for self-judgment and reality checks, is deactivated during REM sleep, allowing the dreamer to experiment with language without fear of making mistakes. This is similar to the feeling of increased confidence when slightly intoxicated. The user's new method of deep, introspective reflection is a way of providing rich, personal, and emotion-driven, comprehensible input to the subconscious mind. The brain processes this input during the day and during the nightly sleep cycle, synthesizes it into a new, natural, and effortless inner dialogue. The dream becomes a tangible representation of this subconscious process, a powerful signal that the new language has moved from a conscious effort to an internalized part of their neural identity. Now, as you continue on your journey toward fluency, you may eventually encounter what's known as the intermediate plateau. This is a phase in language learning where the initial rapid progress you made suddenly slows down. It can feel like an endless trudge rather than an uphill climb. You can reach a point where basic communication is possible, so the urgency to improve further just isn't there. The complexity of advanced grammar and vocabulary can also feel overwhelming, but there's a psychological reason for this too. American linguist Stephen Krashen proposed the affective filter hypothesis. He explains that psychological barriers or affective filters can significantly impact our ability to acquire a language. People with a strong filter, for example, find it much harder to understand a message if they don't know every single word in a sentence. They are resistant to comprehensible input because they're afraid of the unknown. The biggest reason people hit this wall is a lack of the right motivation. Maybe you're just in a perpetual state of wanting to learn a language but don't have a real reason to do it. Or maybe you have a fear of making mistakes, which can lead to negative self-talk and a lack of self-belief. You might associate learning with discomfort because of a bad past experience. The key to overcoming this plateau is to shift your mindset. It's a critical phase where consistent, subtle improvements build the foundation for advanced fluency. Don't think of it as stagnation, but as an opportunity to consolidate your knowledge and build confidence. The fastest learners don't tie their mistakes to their identity. They see language as a tool to play with. This is where the power of curiosity comes in. Curiosity is a remarkable trait that fuels our desire to learn, explore, and understand the world around us. It's not just a fleeting interest, it's a neuroscience-backed tool that strengthens memory, fosters engagement, and motivates students. Neuroscience shows that curiosity stimulates the brain's reward system, increasing the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. This creates a positive feedback loop, making learning more enjoyable and enhancing memory formation. When curiosity is sparked, your brain goes into a state of heightened focus where information retention is more effective. Curiosity is driven by what scientists call an information gap, the urge you feel when you encounter something novel or uncertain and want to find out more about it. This is a powerful motivator for learning. A person with a curiosity mindset has a better tolerance for ambiguity. They are more likely to consider difficulties as challenges rather than as threats. This kind of intrinsic motivation, the desire for personal development that comes from an internal force, is what separates those who plateau from those who push past it. Intermediate and advanced learners often show a high degree of this internal drive because the learning itself has become enjoyable and rewarding. So, how do you tap into this? You do it by creating a safe environment for experimentation where mistakes are not seen as failures, but as valuable learning opportunities. Mistakes and errors create an information gap, and the process of resolving that gap fuels curiosity and drives further exploration. Now, let's put all of this together into a practical study, practice, and implementation plan. The goal here is to create a routine that is flexible enough for individual discovery and variation, but structured enough to ensure consistent progress. Step 1, reassess your goals. If you're feeling stuck, the first thing to do is take a step back and reassess your goals. The goals you had at the beginning of your journey may no longer be relevant or challenging enough. Setting new, clear, and achievable goals will provide a renewed sense of purpose. Don't set overly ambitious goals like become fluent in a week. This will only set you up for failure and demotivate you. Instead, use the SMART framework. Make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, you might decide to learn a new set of vocabulary words related to a specific hobby you have, or you might commit to having a 15-minute conversation with a language partner once a week. Challenging yourself with new topics like politics or technology is a great way to move out of your comfort zone. Step 2, diversify your learning materials and methods. If your current study routine feels monotonous, it's time to shake things up. The intermediate plateau is often caused by a lack of variety in study materials. Instead of rereading the same textbook, experiment with different types of content, fiction, nonfiction, music, or documentaries. Also, make sure you're not just focusing on one skill. If you've been focusing on reading and writing, it's time to shift gears towards speaking and listening. Shadowing is the most effective language learning technique I have found, and I practice shadowing every day. On my Korean English Shadowing YouTube channel, I have created a wide range of videos specifically designed for language shadowing. Categories of shadowing videos include vocabulary, grammatical structures, dialogues, narratives, stories and drama, personal sharing, and other categories, providing lots of interesting topics to keep you engaged and learning during the shadowing process. I have also provided several instructional videos teaching you how to get the most out of your shadowing practice. Step 3, create a space for curiosity. Most importantly, you need to create a non-threatening environment for yourself. Language learning should be a place where you can make mistakes and be curious without anxiety or fear. Avoid negative self-talk and remind yourself that every error is simply an opportunity to learn and grow. When you find yourself struggling, instead of getting frustrated, ask yourself these questions. How can I turn my frustration into a learning experience? Why don't I know this? How can I approach this learning from a new perspective? These questions can activate your curiosity and turn a moment of frustration into a moment of discovery. This is the essence of play. When you play with a language, you stop seeing it as a task and start seeing it as a tool for fun and self-expression. The journey to thinking in a new language is a complex and deeply personal process that is far more than a simple academic exercise. The experiences of a learner who moved from a frustrating, external-focused method to a powerful, introspective one illustrate a fundamental truth. Fluency is achieved not through mental translation, but through a profound and holistic transformation of the self. For those on this journey, the evidence is clear. Embrace a holistic approach. Move beyond a simple focus on vocabulary and grammar. Build a personal relationship with the language. Use it to explore your inner world and trust the subconscious process. The destination is not just fluency, but a new, more multifaceted sense of self. The journey of thinking in your target language is, in fact, the journey of becoming a new version of you.